Welcome to chapter 23. We're not going to have that much new grammar in this chapter, but we're going to have our first perfunctory look at the Hill-Mari literary language, one of two literary languages used by the Maoris. And I'll briefly also discuss the status of Hill-Mari as a language or a variety or whatever we want to call it. This is a very contentious discussion point. But okay, I said there's relatively little grammar. That doesn't mean that there is no grammar, because we are going to meet a new morphological form today. And that is the gerund or converb of simultaneous action, or we can just call it the while converb. So while doing X, Y or so. And it has the ending shala, which itself can be segmented. This is going to become important when we look at the possessive suffixation of this suffix. But if we don't have possessive suffixes, it's just attached to the stem using all the same processes that we know and love at this point. Okay, one thing I forgot to do today, which I usually have always done, is make a note of everyone that is here and that is going to do exercises. But can I assume that it's going to be, oh, sorry, Sonia, Valentina, Luan?
Yes.
Sandra? Vivian, are you okay with doing exercises?
Might be a bit later if it's okay.
Okay, then I'll skip you today. Reka? What's the situation like right now? Can you do exercises?
Yes, I guess so. Let's try it.
Yes. Okay. And have I forgotten anyone? I think that's everyone that's going to do exercises. Is that right? Okay, sorry. I have so many pens lying around that don't work. I should just throw out the ones that don't work. Okay. Okay, so this time it's not in alphabetical order, but somewhat arbitrary order. Sonia, Valentina, Luan, Sandra, Reka. So remember the person before you in the list. So we can start with Sonia. The formation, it's the same stuff we have had over and over again, but since it's been a while, let's still try to form all the morphological forms of it, starting with Ludash.
Yeah, sorry, Jeremy, just I probably didn't get you. Shall I do all of them or just one?
Just one.
Just one. Ludash, Lutshila.
Then we have Nalash, Nalshila.
Then
Tunemash and Tunemshila.
Yeah.
Kochkash and Kochila.
Very good. So we have not forgotten the stem changes that happens. Reka?
Shinchash, Shinchila.
This is first conjugation, so.
Shinchila.
Shichala.
I don't know. Shichala. Okay.
Yeah. So we have to have the stem simplification of nch to ch, and then attach directly to the stem. If we had second conjugation, shinchash sit, then it would be shinchala. So here we have to just be careful with the conjugation class. Okay, then Sonia again.
Lektash, Lekshila.
Very good.
Vozash, Vozishila.
Then Purash, Purishila.
Ilash, Ilashila.
Very good.
Kelshash, Kalishila.
Yeah.
No,
Shishila, yes.
Kayash, Kayashila.
Okay, very good. So here are just some simple usage examples of it. So like as I was going to work, while going to work, I went into the store. While going to the countryside, while driving to the village, it is. Yvonne met an old friend. So do you always, while listening to music, wash the floor? Something you might notice with all the examples that I've given here is that in all of these examples, these are same subject examples. So the subject of both clauses is the same. We don't have examples here of like, while his father was listening to music, Yvonne washed the floor, because there are some restrictions to this, what is possible with different subjectness. And this makes this gerund or converb tricky, because until now we've had the converb in N, which doesn't allow for different subjectness, and we've had meke, which does allow for it, and we have shala, which is sort of in the middle. It's not categorically excluded, but it only works within limitations. So first, the question would be, can we attach possessive suffixes to this converb? Yes, kinda. It's tricky. Which is to say that both how the connection works and when it is possible. So first, about this shala, this ending, this you can actually segment it still. What it historically is, if we have like lut shala while reading, historically it is the active participle, so lucho, like reading, and then the la, the comparative ending, which we have had already. So it's put together with these two endings. And if the tricky thing now is, if we attach possessive suffixes to this, I'll just call them converbs, to this converb, you don't attach it to the end, you attach it to the participle ending, and the la comes afterwards. So it looks like we're pushing the possessive suffix into the middle of the mix, but it is easier to understand if you, in your mind, segment this ending, this shala, into the sh and the la, and put the possessive suffix attached to the sh part, and then have the la afterwards. That's the first tricky thing. The second tricky thing is it is not used in the first and second. You do not attach possessive suffixes of the first person and second person plural. And this, for me, this was for a long time a rule where I was wondering, is this actually the case, or is this just something that grammars tell you? But then if you look at a corpus, it turns out that the picture is much more complicated. No, the picture is as simple as the grammars tell you. You do not find this in the corpus at all. It's just they don't do it. I can't give you any functional or historical reason for why this is the case, but it's just a combination that does not happen. So knowing this, I think Sonia was last, so I think it's Valentina's turn. Valentina?
Yeah.
To try to form all the valid possessive forms, and I'll give you one pointer. In the third person singular, it's the short form of the possessive suffix.
I can try. So
Okay.
I think that's lucem la,
Very good.
then lucet la,
Yeah,
lucish la,
very good.
and lucish la.
Exactly. So these are the valid possessive suffix forms. And I've looked in the corpus for like shna la or so, and I find nothing where reading as a converb seems viable. So it doesn't happen. Okay, I have no idea why that only popped up now. So here we can now look at with possessive suffixes. The possessive suffixes now allow us to have some different subject cases here. Like Pasham chot ishtishla, while they were working hard, Kanish Naginat Mondena, they forgot about holiday. Okay, this was not different subject, it was just like double marked here. But actually all of these are same subject sentences, I'm just realizing now. Okay, so it's just kind of double marked in these cases. Yeah, so like while walking around town, I saw many interesting pictures or so. Okay, but one thing that another interesting thing though is, that looking at the corpus, usually until now, we've always had that if we've had a possessive suffix, it has been possible to have a a genitive possessor in addition to the possessive suffix. And this has been like possible with the meke converb. So if we had like mekem after I checked in the corpus in total, how many mekem forms do we have? It like, I don't know, tol mekem after I came. And in total, we have so many forms of mekem, and 12 of these have been have a genitive marked personal pronoun before that. Million tol mekem were before after I came or so, and like very stressing. And so you see, it's like less than 1/100th of the cases. It is rare, but it happens, and it looks quite the same with the before converb meshke, which we will be meeting soon. But for this one, for the shala converb, it doesn't happen. You do not have it in combination with genitive possessors. So here now we have different subject cases. What I got my slides mixed up. Here we now see radium kolishchemla. And from my stuttering, you can see how often I use these forms myself when I'm speaking more. I don't really. So while I was listening to the radio, there suddenly was some kind of sound in the apartment. So we have two different subjects here, me listening to the radio and some kind of sound that is happening. So within like using the possessive suffixes, we can have different subject sentences. But what if we have different subject arrangements where the possessive suffixes don't allow for this? Like we were sitting at home while it was raining. So it's we, and we cannot have possessive suffix of the first person plural. While we were watching television, fireworks started outside, or someone was looking for you while you were working. Anyone want to guess what do we do in cases like this?
I remember you can't use shala,
Yeah.
but you need to use a subordinate clause. But I cannot remember the
Yeah.
junction.
Godem. It's
Godem, yeah.
we had this this sort of this temporal postposition godem during while. If you cannot use shala because of these restrictions we look at, you just have to use godem. Me godem, as it was raining, we were sitting at home. Or as we were watching television. As you plural were working, or the such. So godem is always there if necessary. And in cases where you can use the shala converb, you can also use godem here too. About the restrictions between, like the differences between these two, that's then a trickier question. Like what the difference is between pashagic tol shishla, pashagic tol mush godem. Yeah, that's a non-trivial question.
So sorry, Jeremy, I have a question. So in this case, there is only very little probability that in future Godem would substitute this Shella gerund. Because as you have just said that you don't even use it yourself, like when speaking this Shella gerund. So I would expect like a more simple construction, like to appear.
Yeah, I have not run the numbers myself, but this is my sense that Godem is gaining in popularity against shala. But yeah, this is just my naive gut feeling that I'm saying that there's something worth looking at in the corpus. Okay, that's the first big grammar point for today. The second big grammar point pertains to manen. Which I think we have already discussed in some level. So manen is like saying. And this is something that is very typical of what I, following Jelena Skribnik's nomenclature, call, she in German calls them Sprachen des östlichen Typus, like Eastern type languages. You can find this like starting with Mar, you can find it going eastwards in all the Turkic languages, all the Mongolic languages, and other Uralic languages that have been in contact with these, like Udmurt, like you have Udmurt Shuasa, and then Tatar Dip and the such. this converb, that saying or so, has a range of functions that can be somewhat surprising. And in the textbook, we have it subdivided into 3 categories. I here in this presentation have limited it to 2. I've put B and C from the textbook together because I think it is, you can viably call it the same thing. The first one is that manen, it is used in final clauses. So final is the purpose of something, in order for what, to blah, 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 blah. And this is, for example, and why I say, for example, we're going to look at that in a moment, in combination with the infinitive. So like shke kalak shalam polshash manen. So the shke kalak shalam polshash is like to help his own people, and then manen, like saying to help his own people in order to help his own people. Like, what is the reason why somebody did something? And here it is that A. Grigoriev worked hard his whole life in order to do this. Or like, my album Nalium, I bought an album. Why did I bought that album? For what purpose? Tida Ola Nergen Shukerak Palash Manen, in order to know more about this city. And now question, this takes us back all the way to one of the earlier chapters. How do we negate this now? If we want to say in order to not do blah, blah, blah. And remember me, I think Sonia was saying ogel. Yeah, so ogel is also the constituent negator, the Swiss Army knife negator. If you want to negate something and that doesn't have a form to do it morphologically, just put ogel afterwards and then it works. Mondash Ogelman, in order not to forget, I'm writing everything down into a notebook. And I said, for example, in combination with the infinitive, because there is also another construction which is coming in a few chapters. You can also use manen in combination with the imperative, especially the third person. Like here, it's great because we haven't met this morphology yet, but just to warn you that it's coming. So it would be like people in like for linen to be white, and literally is linen white may be like this is like Finnish olkon or Estonian olgu, like we've already had it with leisure, like salam leisure, and so and like so for the linen to be white, people spread it with snow in spring. And here you can then also, since the imperative can be negated with productive morphology, here we can also use negated forms of the imperative. So so for the tree not to go dry, we poured water on it. And this construction in this has an advantage over the infinitive things, that we allows us to have different subjectness again. That we can have I did X for blah to blah blah blah. Whereas with the infinitive, you can only say like you do something for to what? What is your own? What are you yourself trying to do with this? So it gives us more flexibility when we use the imperative. But as I said, we're going to come back to this later. Okay, so for the final clauses with manen, we have either the imperative or the infinitive. The second thing we're going to look at, and here it works with all finite verbal forms, I would say. And that is, it marks anything that pertains to statements, perceptions, and cognition. So verbs of saying, verbs of hearing, thinking, knowing, believing, etc. Anything going in this direction, if you are indicating the content of a statement, of a thought, of something you hear or whatnot. And I mean, those of you that have done the Turkic languages, none of this is going to be surprising. You use this manen saying after the content of this statement, of this thought or whatnot. There's a paper by, I believe it's from Brigitte Packendorf. I hope I'm not misstating this here, that shows like the distribution of this structure throughout Eurasia, where you can see just how widespread this is. This is really a macro area of feature. that you can find in languages where you have no established direct contacts between them, like Buryat and Mari. What do Buryat and Mari have to do with one another? Well, nothing as regards direct contact, but they still are in a larger macro area zone with one another. Okay, so we have seen some examples of this, but here just showing you some more going in this direction. Yeah. The mole construction in Russian, I'd have to look into the relationship between this and the structure, but I mean, as we know, I mean, medieval Russia was a vassal state of the Mongol Empire. They were not, Russian is not free of Eastern influence itself. But yeah, I would want to look at that before I dare say anything about it. Okay, but I'm not going to wait for him or them anymore. Manen kalasish, anush dalekt and kaish. So saying said anush basically, and went away. So it's kind of like just a marker of the quotation here. So Yot Hashem, my friend, Eilish, said, what did my friend say? Erlatolam manen, that I'm coming tomorrow, saying. So it's just, it marks the statement. Or also here, Yalem Puncharial manen limdenet. The village was named Puncharial, saying. So it's fairly broad here. So these are just saying verbs. So it works with, and we're in a later chapter, we're going to look at the different saying verbs that there are and look at the differences between them, which is, it's a tricky thing as it is in any language. I mean, like in English, what is the difference between say, talk, state, etc. Yeah, but we'll get back to the difference between those at a later time. Here also some examples where we see it with verbs not of just saying, but also of thinking, believing, or whatever. Valya erlat tulesh manen. Valya is coming tomorrow, saying, I heard. So I heard that Valya is coming tomorrow. Kunam genat mi dekem pertelat manen ushanenam. I believed, saying, what did I believe? Sometime you will return to me. So the content of this thought. So here it works, for example, with kolash, to hear, and to ushanash, to believe. There is one verb, however, that falls in this category with which this does not work, in combination with which this is not used. Anyone have any guesses what that verb might be?
Manash.
Manash, exactly. It's kind of meta. The like manen or so would just be, it would sound dumb, so people don't do it. So with man in combination with manash, it's, you just drop it. Like tudamulamem ergage cherlanen manen. They said to me that their son fell ill. I said that I will not return here anymore. This I have not checked in the corpus if it does sometimes happen, manen manium or something like that, but it's certainly like if you ask, like Mari native speakers, when we asked it, their reaction was like, well, that's silly. Like, well, why would you do that? Okay, something from here. Tushala corpus data actually suggests that the possessive suffix is very rarely attached to the end of the suffixes, and that the order is also used with px. Okay, that's interesting to know. Thanks, Luan. That sometimes you do actually, because like the la ending, like achamla, like my father, or so. You do actually have some variation that achalam, like my father, does also very rarely happen. And apparently also the switcheroo also can happen in the converb. This is still going back to the last one. Okay, thanks for that comment. So that's it from the further grammar. From me, are there any questions before I go and open the blinders on this window a bit? Okay, one moment, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. This is a definite advantage for teaching from my balcony, because my balcony faces east. So in the winter or in the summer, I don't have the light isn't bothering me. But right now the clouds are pretty heavy here. Okay, so much for grammar, and just some quick points for words and word usage before we get to the chapter text. And it's really only small points this week. So vela ogel, not only, an important thing with this not only is that the vela ogel, not only it wants a connective element of some sort. Not only but also And there are two possibilities we give in the textbook, the more traditional one and the Russian influenced one. The more traditional one is that you have an at. Sanyu vela ogel anukat moskoshmien. Not only sanyu, but also anuk. So you have this at for the, like in English, the but also. I mean, it's exactly like in English here. Like in English, you also wouldn't say not only Sanyu, Anuk went to Moscow. Okay, you need this at, and instead of the at, you can also use the Russian eshe, which goes borrowed from Russian yisho. So both work. Quick note on alternative forms of the pronouns. So we know a bunch of pronouns at this point that end with y. Interestingly, these in Hilmari, these all end in ny, in a nasal. And actually, unless I'm completely mistaken, the Hilmari form is the more conservative form here. So like me in Hilmari would be the mun with an in there. These here have then alternative long forms miye, tiye, and Tigaya with an extra E there. And as far as I can tell, the motivation is purely stylistic if and when this happens. That they have a more poetic feel to it. They give you an extra syllable if you need it for your meter to work. There does not seem to be a clear functional purpose as there has been in other cases where we had short forms and long forms of words to use them. So this is just something to accept it when you encounter it, and you will especially encounter it in poetic language and such. Last point for words and words usage is that we have some animals, and we're leaving the mammals and the birds now and looking at various things that creep and crawl and swim. And we restricted ourselves to the eight that we felt were the most basic. And the usual caveat here for Mari native speakers, often the inventory of what they consider basic is going to be a lot wider than it will be for anyone coming from a more urban background. Let's put it that way. Like I've experienced Mari classes being taught with just running around in nature and pointing at various insects and saying exactly what this is, and the people have no idea what this would be in their respective language. Yeah, okay, but coal, fish, that's a good one to know. Ujava, frog, engeremish, spider, very nice one. Kopshange, a beetle, and shudashirchik, grasshopper, but it's again just awesome word. Kutko, ant. Yil, earthworm. Karme, fly. Shanga, mosquito. Very important one in among the Maoris, because as is conventional in this whole area part of Russia, you have a lot of them. And what the Maoris call mosquito bites, when they talk about mosquito bites, the collocation is always shungakochkesh, mosquito eats. So it's I have a colleague who seems to attract mosquitoes, and we were in Marielle, and she woke up in the morning and she had mosquito bites all over her eyelids and all over her face. And I didn't have anything. They didn't like me or whatnot. And wherever we went, people would see all the mosquito bites, and everywhere the people would always ask her, shungakochkesh. No shit. Okay, myksh, that's a good one. Live and kishke. And yeah, we will, in the exercises that we won't do today, but next week we are going to have some quizzing about them. So are there any questions about anything we have looked at before we look at the text? And the text this time, it pertains to the Hill Mari and Hill Mari. So it's about the language and the language and the people who speak it. We should note here that this is, of course, in an outside view because it was Emma Yakimova and Galina Krylova. They're not Hill Maris, but yeah. And I mean, this seems a bit trite, but this is an important point in the whole discussion on if Hill Mari should be considered an own language or not, because here the dominant attitudes go wildly apart among the different communities. But yeah, I'll talk about this a bit after we have read the text. Okay, Akpars Kundemishte in the land of Akpars. And Akpars is a medieval Hill Mari chieftain, specifically the one who pledged the loyalty of the Hill Maris to Muscovy during the lengthy conflict between Moscow and Kazan, and this led to the integration of the Hill Maris into Muscovy, which was then in the process of becoming Russia at an earlier time. So this closeness between this association with the Hill Maris and the Russians. It is not just this little geographic difference that you have. Okay, wow, they're like 100-something kilometers closer to Moscow, but it has historical reasons too, that they did join with the Russian Empire at an earlier stage. And you also have like Russian Orthodoxy is much more widespread among the Hill Maris than it is among the Meadow Maris. So yeah, but after that detour, Akpars is I'm thinking next week I might show some pictures from the Hill Mari district, and you're going to see some of Akpars again. So I forgot where we are, so we can maybe start at the top, take it from the top, and Sonia can start.
Reka, thank you for the information on the name. It's very interesting. Shall I read it or shall I just translate that?
Maybe read and translate. Yeah.
Yeah. Йолвок дене теплоход дене каемна годом пурла сереш верла наше чатката ла мендерч коеш. I will start from the end, or at the end, because it's the safest way. And it's an elegant or like a beautiful city is visible from far away. On the right shore or bank, it's situated on the right bank of the Volga, and this is kind of like when passing by. And this Teplochod, I've already looked it up in the list of the vocabulary, and it's a motor ship.
Yeah.
But for me, in Czech, we have teplo, which is like warm.
It's from the same stem.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's like unless I'm completely mistaken, and please correct me, there's somebody if it is, but it's like I think it goes back to like steamship or so.
Okay.
Like
it makes sense now. Yeah.
It's like parnik in Czech, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like when you're going down the Volga with a motorboat on the right side. Yeah. Okay. And then Valentina.
Yep. Tide Chikma Kurik Mari Kundemin Rodolaje. So it is Chikma, Kozmodemyansk, the capital of the Hill Mari land.
Okay. That's correct. I wanted a quick note about the name. So Valentina already gave us the the official two main names. So Chikma, which you will find in sources. And this is actually it means palisade, so like big wooden fence or so. And in Russian it is called Kosmodemyansk. And so for the longest time I thought that like this Chukma, which in Hilmar is Tsikma, I thought that this is like kind of like, I got the feeling that Kosmodemyansk is way more widely used than Chukma or Tsikma. That seems to be sort of a purist, that there's sort of a bit of a purist notion to this. But then I asked a Hilmari native speaker and asked, so, okay, be honest, what do you really call Kosmodemyansk? And the answer she gave me is neither of these. The answer she gave me is Khala, which is just the Hilmari version of Ola. It's the city, it's the town. And it's like in the Hilmari district, you don't have any other towns or cities, so you don't have no need to disambiguate. And if you are going to another city, like, I don't know, Cheboksary or Yoshkaola, so you would say so by name. But if you're just saying you're going to the city, everybody knows what you mean. And I looked it up in the dictionary, in the Hilmari dictionary here. And if you look up Khala in here, let me see, well, give me a moment. I forget where I have compiled a whole dictionary in using the Cyrillic alphabet, but I still don't always know exactly where Kh is in it. So we have Khala, 1, Gorodskoy, 2, Kosmodemyansk. So it's even in the dictionary like this. And it's the same logic where it's like, my cat, according to documents, has a name, but I just call her kitty cat or kitty or cat or whatever. I don't have to distinguish because I've only got the one cat. So same logic applies here. Okay, sorry for that interruption. And it's Luan's turn.
So, Tishta Poro Kumelan Usta Ketiolan Morelan Shiman Marikalik Ila here living Mari people with who are friendly, talented, and happy to sing.
Exactly. So one note here is I have already in previous, I think I've already discussed the whole dialect versus language question with Hilmari before. But one thing that sets them apart, the Hilmari apart from other comparable situations that we have, like with the Eazia and the Moksha, or the Bessemans and the Udmurts and whatnot, is that the Hilmaris, they want their variety to be acknowledged as a language, which in my opinion is a function of the whole standard language ideology that you have in Russia. But they do not consider themselves a distinct ethnic group or a distinct nationality, that they see themselves as Maoris, like as their own subgroup with their own cultural idiosyncratic aspects and such. But they do not have there's not a big movement to separate themselves off from the Maori nationality. So it's just about the language, that they want the status of Hilmari as a language to be acknowledged. So this is not actually, even though this might like look offensive if you're coming like from the Mordvin perspective or so, that you're just calling them Maoris, but this is actually in line with how Hilmaris deal with these matters too. And of course, as always with these things, I'm simplifying because I have not talked to every single Hilmari and asked them what they're about the whole arrangement of their ethnic identity and linguistic identity and whatnot. Okay, but then let's go on with Sandra.
Korek Marie, Kaliken Elish Kornijo, Osnisek, Rush Kalik Dene Kiltauten. The path of life
Very nice.
of the Hilmari people has been connected with the Russian people for a long time.
Yep, then Reka.
Okay. Lat Kudimsho Kurmishto Mara Kias Akpars, Shke Yota Shija Vlaktine, Moskoshkomian, da Ivan Groznylan, Mare Vlakan Rush, Kokajanashans, Oshnaj, Shonamist, Nergen Kalasan. Okay, so in the 16th century, the Mari Prince Akbars came with his friends to Moscow and talked to Ivan. What's his code in English again?
Ivan the Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, and spoke to Ivan the Terrible about the wish of the Mari people to join the Russian state or something like that.
Yep, that was that's perfect. Sonja?
Tide koramashtak ozan hanstwem rusz kugojanishish ushimo dechvara charlatich ik e onchich kosmodemiansk ola negaslalten. Was it like even in that century, Kazanya Khanate, or is it Khanat? In Czech it would be Khanat. I'm not sure about the pronunciation in English.
Khanate, I think. I'm also not sure.
Yeah. Was connected to Russian state.
Yeah, or after the integration of the
after the connection, or like joining merging with the Russian state. And after 1 year after Yoshkar Ola is
1 year before.
1 year before, it's Dutch. Kosmodemiansk was established.
Yeah, so this is a matter of pride that it's the oldest city in Mariel by 1 year. Okay. Then Valentina.
Mari Vlak tudim Chikma manem Lumdenit. So the Mari people named it Chikma.
Okay, very good. So now we come to a somewhat ridiculous paragraph, like what the claim to fame. And it's like, so Kosmodemyansk is on the Volga. You cannot go down the Volga without coming by Kosmodemyansk. So here we see now all the people who have come through Kosmodemyansk, who were once on a boat which went by the town. Okay, but Luan.
Okay, so Yorsaresh and the Lanish or la Voktech Shuku Lumluyeng Aften Kayenda Shani Mashishim was in Kodan. Many famous people So at Cayenne is basically they passed by from beside a city located at the shores of the Volga, and so basically left their memory in the form of text.
Exactly. Yeah, they left a written record of their memories or so, something like that. Perfect. Good. Then Sandra.
Mutlam kutsuru nele konsol eerste. Heel wakten kai susla. Niemiec putešestvenik Adam Oleari Chikmash. Puren Ujen Koshmash Nergen Ocherkim Bozenda Olam Suretlian Kodan. I have never heard of that dude ever.
Me neither, and I have no idea what his name would be in German, because I'm guessing this is an adapted form of it. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, in 1643, when coming on the Volga. What was it? Oh yeah, here. The German was he an artist? Traveler. The German traveler Adam Oleari Chikmash.
Yeah, thanks for Reka said it's Adam Olearius, and also Ölschläger, and was his born name, and he was born in Aschersleben.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
That's not far from here, actually. So Ölschläger was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Put in. What was Purash again?
Enter, to go in.
He entered and he wrote an essay about his okay, this is a converb construction, which I looked up earlier and forgot. Yeah, Ujin Kushtash.
Yeah, it's like Ujash is to see. So like what he saw, basically.
Okay, about what he saw, and I think he painted the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct. So I was also just on the side looking at the Wikipedia article. They have a picture of his, there you can see his image of Kazan. I'm sure that somewhere in here there's also going to be, you can find his drawing of Kosmodemyansk. Okay, but very good, and very good work on the number 2. Then Reka.
Okay, wait, Latin Lashim Kurimisto, Chikma Voktic, and Radishev, Pushkin, Dyuma, Shevchenko, Korolenko, Ertin Kainit, Gertsen, then Mikhail Gorky, Olashtejat, the unit. So in the 19th century, Radishev, Pushkin, Dyuma, Shevchenko, Korolenko passed through Chikma, but Herzen and Gorky were also in the city.
Yeah, so they even got off the boat. Okay, I found the picture of Kosmodemyansk that they mentioned here at the end of it. Once we're done, I'll show how Ölschläger drew the city. Okay, then Sonia again.
Chikma, dečminderne ogl, Kurak Marie, kundem Goch Vladimir Kaluman Sibiris trakt erten. So Chikma is not far. You get to Hilmari region from Vladimir from
almost. So not far from Chikma, and Vladimirka, it's the name of this road that they're talking about.
Okay, so not far from Chikma, there is a road called, like a Siberian road called Vladimirka, and like this road, along this road you get to Hilmar region.
The Vladimirka road is crosses through the Hilmar district, not far from. Yeah, and yeah, and what they mean with Siberian road is that this is the tract along which people were deported to Siberia.
Okay.
And unless I'm mistaken, it was already there were lots of deportations to Siberia in Russian history. Unless I'm mistaken, this one was already somewhat older, that it wasn't just the Stalinists that deported people to Siberia along this route, but also already the Tsars. So it's like an old path of many sorrows.
Yeah, and probably an effective way how to get rid of people who were not quite convenient.
Exactly. And yeah, and there are several routes, but I guess this one, it's storied enough that it has its own name. And then yeah, Valentina gets the next sentence.
Yeah. Tide oigan corno nergen stansela kazarma karem damolo lumat gizetat usheshtarat. So I think it's due to this sorrowful road.
About the sorrowful road.
Okay, yeah, about the sorrowful road. Okay, then I think I did not understand the context of the sentence, because I think it meant that due to this Siberian exile road, the villages of Stan and Kasarma, which are basically barracks, are mentioned still today.
Almost. It is names like this also today remind you, remember, like they pass on the memory about this sad road.
Right, so people know those villages because the Siberian exile road was passing through them.
Or,
okay.
Yeah, like they have names that make it very clear that their unpleasant history is in right there in the name, like Kazama, Karem. Kazama, what do you say, is like barracks or so, like. And Karem is this is a word in Metamor, is Korem. It's like ravine, so it's like the barrack ravine and the such. So you have some villages along this old route. Yeah, okay, enough of that. And the next one goes to Luan.
So, wait, oh. It's okay. Korig Mari kundemen ertem garnish dene chikmasse do sterflak paldarat. So chikmas museums introduce you to the history. Is this history of the Hill-Mari region?
Yeah. So about Ertem Gorno, it has been noted in the Discord that it's not in the dictionary, because this is a fairly new neologism and it somehow didn't make its way into the dictionary yet, but it's going to be in whenever we manage to update it. It's going to come in there still. Yeah, updating the Metamor dictionary it's a long-term project of mine, because it's, as everywhere in life, it's easier to get like grants and funding to build things than it is to uphold things, like to maintain infrastructures and whatnot. So it's like I don't generally have the time to do maintenance on the dictionary, but I'm still living in the illusion that someday I will have the time. Okay, then Sandra.
Kawaii malne velenische etnografie to stereste. Kurik Mari vlaken dosto pörtem mardes vaksum kudem tur arberim chunmeremo. I had a bit of a problem with the beginning of that sentence, because I only found kava as sky.
That is correct.
Or weight, or
it is sky. One hint in interpreting this: Kava Yemalne Verlanische Ethnographie Toster is all one noun phrase.
Yeah, okay.
So it is.
But my problem is just the Kava Yemalne part. Like it's at the bottom of the sky.
Under the sky.
Oh, it's an open air museum.
Open air, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in the open ethnographic open air museum, old Hill-Mari houses, windmills, huts, and other things are gathered.
Yeah. So about this Kudo that we have here, those of you who have done other Uralic languages, you know the cognate forms of this, because it's like Finnish koti and Hungarian has. That's all the cognate of all of those. Yeah, very nice. And about this ethnographic museum, if you ever are sent to Kosmonemiansk for whatever reason, any conference or whatnot, this is always the first place you are taken. So I have been there at least 5 times, I want to say, because in 2011 I was at the Mars Summer School, and then I went to afterwards went to a conference in Yoshkar-Ola just like 2 weeks afterwards. So Mars Summer School excursion, where do we go? Open Air Museum. Conference, where does the excursion go? Open Air Museum. So yeah, so there'll be some pictures of it also next week if we manage to do that. Yeah, and then it is Reka's turn again.
Please mark the place where
Sorry.
your cursor. I lost
here,
it a bit.
second paragraph.
Okay. Korek marai kondem talantlan emlaklan peshpoyan. So the Hill Murray region is full of talented people.
Yep. And Sonia.
It's just so nice that they are so proud, like such a small region, and it's full of, it's rich in talented people. Tire kundamas pertnura yalas marei sirache Grigoriev Shochin. In this region, in the village called Pertnur, the Murray painter Grigoriev was born.
Yeah, then Valentina.
Tudin Tirshimeshtene Chigmashte Kudojisvini Toshter Pochilten. So I think that means that the art museum in Chikma was established thanks to him.
Yeah, like thanks to his efforts. Very good. Then Luan.
Köszönt, Tine Tostereste, okay, I skipped the names. The Molinat Suretestem Ushashliash. So nowadays in this museum you can see the paintings of whoever and other.
Yes. Yeah, very good. And then Sandra.
Skilkaliknan Poshan Manen A Grigoriev Umije Muchpot Chot Tirshen. What was it? In order to help his people, Grigoriev worked hard all his life.
Very good. Right, then Reka.
Korek marai kundamishte, kalek korek marla kutra. So in the Hill Murray region, people speak Hill Murray.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Korek Marielma Mariel Republika Shte Olek Marielma Semnak Kugajanish Yilma. So Hill Murray is in the Republic of Mariel, like the next language along with Meadow-Mari. It's like another state language or official language along with Meadow-Mari.
Yeah. So the Semenak is just like Meadow-Mari, like. Then Valentina.
Yochablak Shkolishto Kurek Mari Ilmem Tunemit Kurek Marlak Negamda Gazetim Ludit. So at school, children learn the Hill Murray language. They read books and newspapers in Hill Murray.
Yep. Then Luan.
Kurik Mari Service Laken, Wosemishtem, Mari Elishte Vele Ogel, Jot Ella Stadt, Sayum Talat. So the writings of the Hilmari writers are not only well known in Mariel, but also in foreign countries.
Admirable optimism. Then Sandra?
Nun in koplaste in Nalim Palimuse Pet Pursuit Ignatiev Matyukovsky. Among them, Pet Pursuit, Ignatiev, and Matyukovsky are the most well known.
Yeah, and there's a sometimes yearly, I'm not sure if it's always yearly, conference in the Hilmar district where there you have little scientific presentations, also cultural presentation that's then named after Ignatiev. It's like the Ignatiev's readings or so, it's been called. Okay, then Reka.
Okay. Kugum palime in koklaştığımızım Vaskova. Mari istoriyem şimdişe akademikim ke sanukovum. Da ilk en söne Rossi kalek sürece lümüm numarşe ze lavrentevim palamdeman. So I'm not sure this how to translate this palamdeman, like to be noted or something like that.
They must be noted, but they must be mentioned basically.
Yes. So among the very well-known people must be mentioned the linguist Vasikov, the academician Sanikov, who's researching Mari history, and Lavrentiev, who holds the most I don't know how to put this, the most important title, or you know, People's Artist at the Russian Federation. It is, I think.
Exactly, that's correct. So, and about Lydia Vasikova mentioned here. She studied in Tartu and spent quite some time there. So she was also fairly well known in Estonia from her time there. I don't know exactly how long she was there, and it's a somewhat tragic story that she died of. It feels like just recently, but it's will be 10 years ago this year. She was hit by a car when she was walking in Yoshka-Ola and died, but she was like 85 years old, so she lived a long productive life and then died such a random death. Okay, then Sonia again.
I jeda çıkmıştı Maskara Festival Benderiada Ertaral'dır. Every year there is a festival held in Chikma, and it's like a joke or humor festival called Benderiada.
Yeah, and this was going on the first time I went to Kozmodemyansk, which added a truly bizarre feel to this place. If it's like your first impression, it's like, imagine you go to Cologne once in your life, and the first time you go to Cologne, it's in the middle of carnival season. And that's what colors your impressions of the place. Okay, then Valentina.
Legende počeš Ilf da Petrov Romanin Tung Gerojo Ostap Bender Čikmašte šachmat turnirim Ertaren da Tide Olam Chaplandaren. So according to the legend, the main character of Ilfem Petrov's novel, Ostap Bender, he, I think, arranged a chess tournament in Chikma, and he brought a fame to the city.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I've not read this this novel. So this is a Russian novel, and it's well known in Russia in general, supposedly. I have not read it. I'm not sure what they mean then by saying that, like, according to the legend. Is it like this is not in the novel, but it's assumed in the novel that this happens or something? I don't know exactly what they mean.
I don't know. I read 10 pages of it.
Yeah.
I still need to give it a second try.
Yeah. It's like sort of a very surreal sense of humor, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Okay, then Luan.
Tira Miskara Param Yultusin Ertada Shukukalakimboga. So this humor festival wait, I forgot the English word for this, like takes place or is held or whatever in July, and brings together many nations.
Yeah, many people. Yeah, just. Yeah, and so like, and it's also in. I'm trying to remember exactly what it. But I have the feeling that when I was there for the Benderiada, there were also ongoing celebrations about school graduation and whatnot, even though it was already middle of July and schools have been closed for a while, that they just combined it then, like, for people who had graduated from school completely. And then since the novel is also called The 12 Chairs, there were like carnival float like things with 12 chairs on top of them and all kinds of very strange things going on that made absolutely no sense for me, who had never even heard of Ostap Bender at this point in my life. Yeah. So then, yeah, Sandra gets the last proper sentence, and then Reka gets the folk proverb. Oh yeah, and here you can see the open air museum on the picture.
Chikma olar sturik vlag ulo kumlan rosi gitchveda ogil ves ila gitchatolit da olan motolikshim onchen kwanat. Tourists from not only from Russia but also from other countries happily come to Chikma and admire the beauty of the city.
Very nice. And then yeah, Reka.
So Poro Poshkudo, Perkudo. A good neighbor is half a home or something like that.
That's it. Okay, so since it's not that late yet, I think we can still do two little things and then give us more time next week to not only do the exercise but also look at some pretty pictures from the Hilmar district. And the first is, so the song of the week this week is Keçelekteş. I'm not sure, did we do this? Did somebody do this for our collaborative songbook? Did anybody translate this one? Okay, but then we can work on, we can go through this one, I think, and then we can listen to it both in Meta-Mori and in Hilmari. The arrangement of the verses is a bit different in the Hilmari version, because like this one, the Tin Olma Bum Shindishits is actually corresponds to the third one here. So it's not a one-to-one relationship, but you can still hear the different versions of it. So starting with Sonia, and let's always do one person, one line, though sometimes it gets tricky because you have like clauses that cross over a line, but we'll manage that too. So starting with Sonia.
I can try, Jeremy, thank you, but I'm not quite sure if I manage because I haven't read it before and I haven't done the translation. So.
Okay. If actually everybody prefers that we do this next week, we can also do this next week. What's the thought? How are other people prepared, or?
I haven't translated it either, honestly.
Then let's do it next week.
Okay.
So change of plans, we do it next week, but so now we can just listen to it. But I need a moment to find it. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, but I think I'll stop the recording now, and then we can get when we get back to it next week, the recording will continue. Okay, so that's so for people watching the recording, see you in a moment. So we're back and we're doing some exercises to chapter 23, and we're starting with just forming the converb in Shalad, the while converb of a number of verbs. And we have 4 students doing exercises today and 4 verbs, so that works very nicely. So also create the possessive forms of these. So we'll have Rika does Pogash, Luan does Nalash, Sonia does Kitchalash, and Valentina does Purash.
Okay, so Pogash, Pogashila, Pogashimla,
Yeah.
Pogashetla,
Yeah.
Pogashishla, and Pogashitla. No,
Oh,
Pogashishla.
Very good.
Okay.
Right.
So why collecting and then why I correct and so on.
Yeah, and Rika already did the right thing in skipping first and second person plural. So everybody, because those don't take possessive suffixes, everybody else knows to do this too now. So Luan.
So then Nalshila, then Nalshemla, Nalshetla, and with Nalshishla and Nalshishla.
Good. Then Sonia.
Getchelash, including the possessive suffixes of Getchel Shimla, Getchishitla, sorry, Getchel Shimla, Getchelashitla, Getchel Shishla.
Yes.
And the last one, Getchel Shishla. And it's like when searching or when looking for something.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mostly heard it the right way, but just to make extra sure, since this is first conjugation, we don't want an epenthetic vowel or so. So it's really kut, shal, shem, la, and so on.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's the first conjugation, but it's not a familiar verb, and so I think I had basically the problems of forming the right form of.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if one is used to like Finnic languages or whatnot, forms like kut, shal, shish, la are a bit absurd. Okay, then the next one goes to Valentina.
Okay, so we have Purash, Purem. So we have Puri Shila is the basic form. Then Puri Shimla, Puri Shetla, Puri Shishla, Puri Shishtla.
Yep.
So to when going in, entering.
Exactly. Very good. Okay, so now we just have some reading and translating, and we start with Rika.
Okay. Kino gëç torshizla. Rita yortash udarshim vashliya. So while coming from the cinema, Rita met her girlfriend.
Then institutisch Kayashila Kafish Purishna. So on our way to the institute, we went into the cafe.
Very good. Then Sonia.
То, что пушинге воктен эртен каешежла коя кишкем ужо. When he was walking next to old trees.
Yeah, or walking past the tree, something like that.
Yeah. Kolya saw a snake.
Very good.
It's like
I didn't hear the last part.
Kolya saw a snake. So I was wondering if Kishkin is a snake, and then I checked that, so it is a snake.
It is, yes. Yeah, and Kolya is it's Nikolai, but could also be just a mouse called Mouse. And I'm still waiting for a cartoon of a mouse called Kolya. Okay, then Valentina.
Чадираще снягим погешижла, Vitya merangim ujo. So while picking wild strawberries in the forest, Vitya saw a hare.
Very good. And back to Reka.
Gazetim Luchizla, Kochem Malenkoltish. So while reading the newspaper, my grandpa fell asleep.
Okay, very good. So now we last week we were already talking about how there seems to possibly even be a trend towards using Godem instead of this converb, and definitely Godem can be used in situations where this converb fails. But now we want to just assuming this trend has actually happened, we are following it, and we want to say these sentences using the postposition Godem instead of the converb. And we'll start with the first sentence going to Luan.
So Ginogich Dolmish Godem Rita Yotashidashim Bashlia.
Very good. Then Sonia. I can't hear you now, Sonia.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it the second exercise? I was concentrating on something else. So is it the second exercise?
The second
and using the Godem?
Yes.
Institutos kajem Godem nekafesh porashna.
Very good. Then Valentina.
Okay, then we have Toshto Pushinge Vokten Erten. What is this? Kaime Godem Kolya Kishim Uja.
Yeah, and you could also say Kayemish Godem if you want to keep the possessive suffix.
The possessive suffix.
But in this case, it's optimal because it's the same subject in both clauses. Okay, then Reka.
Chodoreshtes negim pogamish Godem, Vitya merangim ujo. So while picking the wild strawberries, we just now saw rabbit.
Very good.
And then Gazetim Lutmish Godem Kocham Malen Koltich.
Very good. Okay, now we have some questions to answer, and we'll start with Sonia.
Pashash kayeshitla kim ujech. Pashash kayeshimla anushim ujen.
Ujen. Very good.
Okay, and then Pashagich Tolshetla Kush Purishich Kevitish. I think, yeah, Kevitish.
Can you say it as a whole sentence? When I was coming from work,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Başa Torshimla. Kevit Purishim.
Kevitish Purishim.
Kevitish Purishim, yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Then Reka.
Pjortish Purishijla Tudokimujo. So while entering the house, whom did he or she see? Pjortish Purishijla Tudo Ergimujo. So while entering the house, she or he saw their son.
Very good.
Tipluchot dene kayumet godem mogai olam ushaj. So while traveling or going or whatever with the motorship, what city did you see? So Tipluchot dene kayumem godem osangem ushim.
Very good. And Sonia for the last one still.
Spektaklem unčemet godem monergen shumenat. So when watching the theater performance, what did you think about? Spektaklem unčemem godem Yurcham nergen shumenam.
Very good. Okay. So now we should have the whichever constructions work and do not work for the next one, we should form. And just so I don't screw up, I'm going to get myself the cheat sheet here. And yeah, Sonia's. Wait, no.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Valentina.
Yeah. So the first one, Evine Shudo, I think it's Solishijla, Vatijekas Kochkishim Yamde Lish.
No, unfortunately, this doesn't work, because while we can have possessive suffixes, we cannot have a genitive marked agent with the Shala form for whatever reasons. So if you have
right, it's not the subject, right,
Exactly.
It's not the genitive subject. So in that case, I can only use the construction with Godim, right?
Exactly.
So then that would be Evain Shudo Solime Godim, Vatijekas Kochkishim Yamde Lish. So while Evain was mowing the grass, his wife prepared dinner.
Yes. Yeah, prototypical gender roles here. The name is Evai, so Evayan is the genitive of it. Yeah, it was fine. Even better would have been Solemish Godem with the possessive suffix.
Right.
Because if we have the genitive, like the Mars have spent so much time around the Turks, they really like to double mark things and have a genitive and a possessive suffix that align. Okay, then Reka.
Okay, so here's me. So both are possible, yeah?
Yes.
Televizorem onchimenagodem, mekochmonergem mondishna. So by watching the television, we forgot about the food, and then televizorem onchishira, mekochmonergem mondishna.
Exactly.
Then isashtim either Mochishishla or Mochimagodim Nunu Gasetim Ludin Shinchenet. So while they were waiting for the brother, they were sitting and reading the newspaper.
Very good.
Here, Yere no, sorry. Yeah, it is possible.
No, it's not possible.
Possible. Yarışma.
Yeah, you can only use the shala either if it is the same subject in both clauses, or if you can mark the subject with a possessive suffix.
Which is not possible because here is not personal. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly.
Good. So Yerma Godem me parkšte Liana Sandene Naren Betishna. When it was raining, we were in the park and I can't see the I can't see the words like Naren Betishna.
Sorry, I'll go down a bit.
Thank you. Okay. We were in a park and that's why we got wet. That's why we got soaked.
Yeah. So here, literally, this is one of these spectral converb constructions that I like so much. It's so nerash is just to get wet, and neren petash, literally it is getting wet ending, and this ends petash. This just means completely, fully, etc. This is not only, it's then the function copied from Turkic languages, the stem itself is a Turkic loan too, unless I'm completely mistaken. So it's like, yeah, again, another Turkic thing. Okay, yeah, there's still one more that goes to Valentina.
Okay, so here we have the same subject, so I think both are possible.
Correct.
So we have упражнением возишла anu kok jonge lishim ishten, or упражнением возиме godim anuk kok jonge lishim ishten. So while doing her homework, Anush made 2 mistakes.
Very good. Okay. So on to the next one, where it's just reading and translating, and we have as many exercises as we have people today. So that's good. Reika does the first one.
Okay, let's see. Molan boşker kundamış miyenat. Boşker maray lakın ilaştım şimdaşmanın miyenan. So why did you go to the Bashkort region, Bashkortostan? I went to there to study the customs of the Bashkortostan Maris, or the Bashkir Maris. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah, no, the general overarching term is the Eastern Mari, and that's usually what they use to Ervel Mari. And it's like a very well established term. There is also like this Poshkut Mari specifically for the Maris from Bashkortostan. And in the old days, you also would have things like Upe Mari, and Upe being the Mari form of Ufa, the capital of Bashkortostan. And there's a famous Mari linguist who then went by the pen name Upe Mari, just because that was where he's from. But yeah, Ervel Mari is the thing that is in conventional usage. I'm not sure if I've told this anecdote before, but there's a Japanese colleague who knows Mari quite well, Tanaka Takashi. And since the Maris are, well, how should I put this in a politically correct way? They're like phenotypically diverse. So there are some Maris who look somewhat more Eastern, and some Maris that look somewhat more Western. So you'll have some Maris that will look just like normal Russians, normal under parentheses, of course. But you do have Maris who look like they could be from Eastern Asia. So you do have Maris that have like the typical like Asian eyes under parentheses, and that could absolutely pass for Japanese or whatnot. So, but this then works in reverse. If you have a Japanese person who speaks Mari on a near native level, a lot of Maris will just assume he must be like just some Eastern Mari or so. So he does, I mean, he has some kind of accent, of course, when he speaks Mari, but oftentimes he will be asked, so are you an Eastern Mari or so then? And he has a standard reply. He always says, yes, I'm a Münder Ervel Mari, like a far Eastern Mari. That he has like his own speaker community in Tokyo. Okay, sorry for that detour, and on to Luan for the second one.
So molan bashkudo jalish košteda shango kovana lan poshashmanen koštena. So why are you going to the neighboring village? We are going in order to help our old grandmother.
Yeah, there's a mistake in the current version of the textbook in the exercise key. I have already corrected it. So if you're watching this video recording in the far future, it will hopefully be corrected. If you're watching it in the near future, it might not yet. It might still be wrong in the printed version. Okay, then Sonja.
Мылам тыш толында йолташымым ужашманын толынам. Why did you come there or go there? Here. We came here in order to see our friend. Or my yeah, okay, so it's kind of like the polite version. So I've come here in order to see my friend.
Yes, it's all singular here. Yeah, and so the question was polite, exactly. Okay, then Valentina, the last one.
Okay, Molan Valya uzangish taxi denekayan vashkirak mian shuash mankayan. So why did Valya go to Kazan via taxi? And the answer would be in order, I guess, to be faster, to arrive faster.
Yeah. To get there more quickly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a mix and match one coming up. And so we should find something for the second half that works for the first half. And Reke can do the first one. Yeah, and these will, of course, then get easier with every sentence that we've done.
Okay, so Ustamastarim Ashtimajim Ikverish Chumrashmanen Tide Olash Dosterim Pochmo. So in this city, a museum was opened to collect the works of skilled craftsmen. Yeah,
of a skilled craftsman. Okay, right. Then Luan.
Ethnography dosterim ushashmanen chikmashmian koshna. So in order to see the ethnography museum, we went to Chikma.
Very good. Then Sonja.
Erken alışmanın Estonia'nın erken alışmanın So it's the last one. No. It would be for the other one. Because it's so like in order to get freedom. So it will be the first one, like A, Shuko Kredalash Versten. And the problem is that I don't understand what it means. It's like a lot of, or a lot something, but.
Yeah, so one had to fight a lot. So what this Verestash is, we had it in the one, in one meaning it is like just to get somewhere. It's kind of, sometimes it's a bit tricky to translate into other languages. But a secondary meaning then is that it's also sometimes in like necessative constructions, but necessative in the sense more that something just happened to like, it fell to your lot to do something. It's not because it was like there was some obligation to do it. And it's often like translate, for those of you that know Russian, it is often translated with like "мне пришлось" or something like that. So like it fell to my lot to do this or so.
So kind of like a Finnish verb "joutua."
Yeah, I guess it goes in the same direction. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I will remember it now. Thank you.
Yeah. And Valentina?
Yeah, so we have Rush Kugijan Nishish Ushnash Shonimunergen Kalasashmanin. And I think here comes Akpars Shke Yoltash Jevlak Dene Moskoshkomien. So Akpars and his friends, but I guess here it would mean something more like delegation, went to Moscow in order to discuss joining the Russian state.
Yeah, or to express their desire about it. Okay, and then Reka gets a very easy one that hopefully is somewhat dated, but yes.
Estonisch tolaşmanın tur putyovkim nalım. So we took a tourist voucher to come to Estonia. Like these are this group travel things, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Like back in the Soviet days, you couldn't just go wherever you want. You'd need a like a voucher to be part of a travel group or so. Yeah, and so, but it's like Nalyam. Remember sometimes that Nalash is also just to get sometimes, like I got something, receive or so. It's sometimes hard to know which one it is now, taking, buying, or getting. Okay, so for the next one, just some good old translating, starting with Luan.
Kolkuchas Gayashmanen Echan Erdenera Kunjalin. So in order to go catch fish, Echan got up early in the morning.
Exactly. And Sonia?
Nan Kustashman Mina or Nina Lojashan. So in order to bake or make a pancake, Nina bought flour.
Yeah, or here I would actually read it as pancakes, like that she, it's one of these cases where like a plural reading is more intuitive, so you don't have to express it.
Okay.
Yeah, Valentina?
Koçamlan Polshashmanin me Rosharnyan Yalishkayem. So I'm going to the village on Sunday in order to help my grandfather.
Right, then Reka?
Sholem Ludash Tuniktashmanen, Möchtedlan Bukwaram Nalem. So I bought my younger brother Bukwar ABC book, like book for learning the alphabet, so as to teach him reading.
Exactly. Then one.
Akbarsnegen knigam nalashmanen Vasli bibliotekishkai. So in order to get a book about Akbars, Vasli went to the library.
Right. So Sonia?
We went to the forest to pick up mushrooms.
And Valentina?
Okay. We Pairemlan Pölikim Nalashmanin Yalu Satulimo Ruderish Kaish. Okay. So Yalu went to the center in order to, I guess, to buy, I don't know what is spelled, maybe fireworks for the new year. Presents, yeah, presents for the new year.
Yeah, that is correct. So she went like a shopping center. Or
shopping.
Like that. Okay, so I'm sorry that's a bit monotonous with more reading and translating. There are a lot of exercises in this chapter, I'm just noticing. They're fewer in the next ones, but okay, but yeah, now it's the Vele Ogel thing that we're looking at. And we can start with Reka.
Okay. Me madej vaksham Vele Ogel. Tule are very much ujinna. So we didn't just see the windmill, but different other things too.
Yeah. So I'm guessing this is in reference to the open air museum, where the one thing that people always have on their pictures, including me, is the windmill. Then Luan.
Láttam kódumsó kórumistó csalam Vele Ogel molo olamat negeslima. So in the 16th century, not only Jalan, but also other cities were founded.
Then Sonia.
Tudo očerkn Vele Ogel vozim, olamat süretlen kotin. He did not, I'm just thinking how to say it or how to put it in English. Not only did he wrote about or did he wrote a report, but he also made a picture, or he drew a picture of the city.
Yep. Then Valentina.
Okay. Чигма Boktech, Radishev, Vele Ogel, Pushkinat Ertenkain. So I think that is that not only Radishev was in or passed by Chigma, but also Pushkin was there.
Yeah. So here with this Boktech from beside her, so here we see that, as is the case in numerous Uralic languages, it's sort of the separative forms, like movement away. They sometimes is sort of going more like in the direction of prolative, like movement through or so. Yeah. That as a secondary meaning. Okay, then Reka.
Toshterishte, ele vitanin Vele Ogel, ke Pjulovinat Surachim Ujashliyesh. So in the museum, not only the pictures of Levitan can be seen, but those of Priulov as well.
Very good. Then Luan.
Then Litva Syreche Chur Lenis Syretlen Vele Ogel Mosakumat Mosan. So the Lithuanian painter Chur Lenis did not only paint, he also wrote music.
Very good. And Sonia?
Irukan Yoltashere Morin Vele Ogel Kushtnat Esh Kirtesh. The friend of Iruk, or Iruk's friend, can not only sing, but he or she also can dance.
Very good. Valentina?
Okay. Ivan Petrovich den Ergije Kengejim Vele Ogel Telemat Yushtelit. So Ivan Petrovich and his son bathe not only in summer but also in winter.
Right, then Reka.
Mən Yoshkar Pradeshim Veleoge, Oshim da Kandamat Yuratim. So I don't only like red flowers, but white and blue ones too.
And then Luan.
John Niyam Vela Ogel to your mat Shachma Cage Ishesh. So John is not only inviting not only me to his birthday, but also you.
Okay. Sorry if I was distracted for a moment because out here in the balcony, you have a view on this forest path going through the forest right there, and I think my father was just going by there and waving at me. But yeah, I'll see afterwards if he wrote me a message. Okay. So on to number 5, where we basically have to escalate things, so to say. So we say were you only in Yoshkar-Ola? No, I was not only in Yoshkar-Ola, but also in Chikma or the such. And we'll start with Sonia for the first one.
Yep. Mari kundemus turst vlakmenan elkoč vele tolet mo. So like the tourists come only from from our country to the region of Mari, and then to make it more intensive. Mari kundemus tourist vlak vele menam elguč vele ogel jot ela guch toilet.
I would say Jot Ela Gejat toilet. Like this at it helps. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise it works. Valentina?
Okay. Ozangiști poezdene vele coștat. So okay. And then I would say poezdene vele ogel. Autobus dene coștam.
Denat.
Denat with
Yeah. It's a bit of a strange sentence. Are you going to Kazan only by train? No, not just by train, but also by bus. Well, I guess it's like in habitual sense, like that you mix and vary your options. There's like a thing about going to Kazan by train from Yoshkar-Ola. It is possible, but it is not necessarily the most pleasant experience. That it takes like by bus or marshrutka, these little taxis, it takes something like 90 minutes if you stick to the speed limit. So it takes like 60 minutes because nobody ever does in Russia. And then by train, well, it probably takes a bit more than that. But then by train, it takes supposedly something like 3 or 4 hours. And it's these old electric trains with like wooden benches and whatnot. They have sort of a not that great reputation. I still want to do it at some point, but I've never had a chance to do it yet. Okay, sorry for my detour again, and now it's Reka's turn.
Third one, right?
Yes.
Yes. Tej tatarla vele kutiritmo, ukemuj tatarla vele oga, chuvashlat kutirim. So, do you only speak Tatar? No, I don't only speak Tatar, I also speak Chuvash.
Very good. Then Luan.
Todo yirmim vele shimlamo uka todo yirmim vele ogel etnografi yirmat shimla. So das hishi de on research only languages. No, he, she, they does not only research languages, but also ethnography.
Very good. Then Sonia.
Latgandashimshi kuram guch Voznesenský čerkevely Aralal Kodenmo. Okay. Latgandashimshi kuram guch Voznesenský čerkevely Ogel Pčelin Kupečen Pertšat Aralalt Koden.
Right, then Valentina.
Okay. Marie Respublikiste, Marie Vlak Vele Ilat Mo. Okay. Marie Vlak Vele Ogel, Rush Vlak, Tatar Vlak, Udmurt Vlak, Čuvaš Vlakat, Marie Respublikiste Ilat.
Yeah, I would put the at on to every single one. Like, yeah, but this is actually, it's something somewhat tricky. Like, so the two Mars with whom we worked on this, Emma, who's the older sister, she puts at everywhere, and Galina, the younger sister, then often was like, oh, why do you put the at there? Why do you put the at there? And Emma's explanation was, oh, it's because I'm the emotional one. I'm always so emotional and emphatic, so I always want to put the ats. I want to always put my particles everywhere. And that Galina, supposedly as the more level-headed, younger, rational one, wants less at in her life. So there seems to be some variance among the within the Mars here, like how much you want to use these emphatic particles. Okay, so next one is something completely different for once. So here we have a bunch of derived verbs, and you should say then what does a word mean and what is it derived from, and what does the word from which it is derived mean originally. And Reka starts.
Okay, so Kugajanish, that's the stage, wasn't it? Yeah. And then to Kugaja, the star or king or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And in the etymology of that, it seems to go back to Kugu, big, and Iza, like the big brother or some big uncle or something like that. Which is curious is that you also do have Kugaza, which is a more transparent form of that. But at least if you believe the etymological resources, they're both from the same stem, and that kind of did a split for some reason. Okay, then Luan, next one.
Shonimash, which means I forgot. Oh yeah, thought, and it comes from Shonash, to think.
Exactly. Then Sonia.
It's a verb, sharnamash. Sorry, it's a noun, sharnamash, and it's memory, and it's from a verb, sharnash.
Yep, which is to remember.
To remind or to remember.
Yeah, and Valentina.
So we have oigan, sad. From oig, grief.
It's oigo, actually.
Oigo.
So the O was deleted. Reka?
Okay, can you hear me? I was leaving just ago. Schumann is something hearted or something like that. So schum, which is heart.
Yeah. And we had it like Schumann also, sometimes it can be like in a figurative sense, like having interest in something, like you are hearted towards something or so. Okay, then Luan.
Negislash to be founded is derived from Negislash to found, and this is derived from Negis foundation or base.
Very good. And then Sonia.
Gumalan. And it's kind of like I'm not quite sure if it could be translated as a moody or like feeling in a way.
Yeah.
And it's from a noun mood.
Kumel, mood,
Kum.
yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's like having this kind of mood or so, not to be confused with the moody in English, like having mood swings and such. Okay, yeah, then Valentina.
Okay, so we have motorlik, beauty, from motor, beautiful.
Very good. And Rika.
Manatash, to be called something. To manash, to say.
And Luan.
Sinnerstash, to become beautiful, and from Sinner, beautiful.
Right. So now we want to look for some like synonyms, and we know that like synonyms are rarely perfect. That the functional range of the synonyms might differ a bit, but things that are fairly close, at least in meaning. And we'll start with Sonja.
Yes, it's difficult, and I'm not sure, but I think the synonym could be Mela.
Yeah, very good. Then Valentina.
Okay, and then we have a thorough, beautiful. So we can have motor, silne.
Yeah, and then there's still Chever, which we haven't yet met, but yeah. Okay, then Rika.
Okay, so master, like a craftsman. Probably usta, isn't it?
Yeah, because mastar, it's like also used as an adjective, like talented or so. And we had this with the jack of all trades, who was Kit Yolan Pesh Mastar, like very talented for matters of the hand and foot. Okay, then Luan.
So motorestash and sinnerstash.
Yeah. Getting more beautiful or whatnot. Then Sonja.
L, Mlander.
Yeah.
Then we have Akret Gotsek. So is it like from ancient times?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe gauge.
No, we had this word Ojnesek.
Ojnesek. Yeah.
Yeah. Then Rika. Okay, now Rika seems to be lagging, or right now Rika actually looks stuck in time. So maybe we'll pass on to Luan.
Mustache, to be able to, and katash.
Very good. Yeah, Rika dropped out, so I'm keeping an eye open. Also, Sandra might be coming at some point. Okay, so then Idalek goes to Sonja.
Idalek, and the synonym would be job.
No.
Job? No, it's Idalek is season, isn't it?
Idalek is a year.
Year. Okay, so a year.
Exactly, yeah. As we had season as Idalek job. I think Rika might be back. Can you hear me again, Rika?
Yes, I can hear you, but it's unstable, it says, so I might be off at a time.
Okay, so we'll see whenever we come to Rika. If it works, then great. Okay, otherwise,
where are we?
So we're now. It's Valentina's turn right now with Ikshiva.
So child and your child.
Yeah,
it's the synonym.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so now we have some very small dialogues, but I think we can still do them, and everybody does one line, and we start with Rika for the first line. I'll do the headlines. After Vokzalište at the bus station.
Okay, so Porokecheli Shevuk, Kushkaya Staudeninat. Good afternoon, Ivuk. Where are you going?
Yeah. Then Luan.
So then Kokshaiskish, Golkuchash, Kayanem, the billet uke. So I want to go fishing to the Kokshaisk, but and I have no ticket.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Ja, Ulo, meien ik billet, and I think it should be Ulo.
No, it's Uto.
Uto. So it would be verb utash. Or something.
There is a verb utash, but Uto, have we has it occurred yet? It should, because I'm just wondering why it's not translated. Uto means spare, extra.
Okay, yeah. Jultaschen, sorry. Jultaschen tolen skert, aida perial perelia kayana. So you have, you're lucky. I have a spare ticket. My friend could not come, so let's be quick. So probably to make it to the bus or whatever.
No, Pelia is together. Let's go together.
Okay, Pelia. Okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned utash as a verb that does actually exist. That's like utash is to become superfluous or so, which we had like in the when we're talking about the animal herders that became superfluous. There was some utenet at some point in chapter 19. This was, but I should make a note with uto because I'm not sure that it has been translated in the textbook before now. So yeah, I'll see about that then. Then Valentina.
Peshku gutau chinak pialan ulam. So thanks a lot. I'm really happy.
Okay, kasseste at the cash desk or checkout counter or whatever. Starting with Reka.
Ozan Marta Kok biletin puiza bajarista. So give me 2 tickets to Kazan, please.
And Luan.
Minja Shagatlan. So at what time?
Then Sonia.
Laat ik Shagatlan Kokbilietlan Minjaren Tileman. So for 11 o'clock or at 11 o'clock, and how much do I have to pay for 2 tickets?
Right, then Valentina.
Kuchudo tenge, so 600 rubles.
Reka.
Evet, 100 tenge. Here, 1,000 rubles.
Then Luan.
Kocho Oxadam Ida Mondo, so don't forget the change.
Exactly. And Sonia, very challenging.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Taxiste in the taxi, and we start with Valentina.
Okay. Mim Sambarte Nagnaiza, пожалуйста. So Sambate is the district, right? With
yes.
So I guess it's take me to Sambate district, please.
So I could imagine a Mari movie or so where somebody gets in a taxi and asks, "Hey, take me to Sambate," and he rides off to Hungary because, hey, you didn't specify which one. Okay.
It's so sweet.
Reka.
Moga yürümiş to which street?
Luan.
Petra Foremish to Petra Street.
Sonia.
Shitsa. So take a seat, sit down.
Yeah.
Being polite, it's the plural form.
And then Valentina.
Deveti depart volten kodiza. So you can leave me next to this or in front of this house.
Yeah, like let me out.
Yeah, let me out.
Like. Okay. Yeah, there used to be a riddle in the fish, but it was not transparent enough, so we got rid of the riddle. I'm sorry to say. Okay, but time to guess some more animals. A moment. It's gonna make sure that we see as much of as possible. Here we go. Okay, and starting with Reka.
So, tudo predishition da muimpoga. So it flies from flower to flower and collects honey. I guess milks the bee.
Exactly. Then Luan.
Then tudo aya lienkertes choleraste kostmogodum sheklaniman so it can be poisonous when walking in the woods. You have to take care or keep attention or whatever. So it's kishka, snake.
Right. So Sonia.
Tudo tusan motor kechanke chigodum peladisko klaste chungestelish. I am not sure what's tusan.
Okay, so tus is a color.
So yeah, okay.
And this an then is this
like colorful, yeah. So it has got different colors, and during the day,
like on a sunny day.
Okay, so on a sunny day, it flies from a flower to flower, and it's a butterfly, and it's a lava.
Very good. Okay, then Valentina.
Kingejim tudo pesh igeshtara utlarashket shodirashtem. Okay, so it's something which is bothering, especially in summer and in the forest. So I guess it's shinga, mosquito.
Exactly. Then Reka.
Tudo vudishtat mlandum balnat ida. It lives both in the water and on land, on the surface. Ujava, the frog.
Very good. And then Luan.
Then to the leveranderste ushashleash shuko microbum normalesta cherem kishiktan gatesh. So it can be seen in muddy places. It takes a lot of microbes, and it can transmit with illnesses or diseases. So it's, I think, Karmel fly.
Yeah. And then Sonia.
Tudo pesh kishka torstelesh shurugo klashta ila. It jumps high, very high, and it lives in the grass, and it's grasshopper, and it's shoulda check.
Very good. And yeah, wait one moment. Sandra is here. I'm just trying to let her in. Okay, then Valentina gets the last one.
Right. To the vudisto ila pesh pisin yesh genat engirish logalesh. So it lives in the water. It can get caught on the fishing rod, and I don't understand the part about moving quickly and ice. Like, do they mean like winter fishing from the ice?
Careful. This is there is ice, and Iesh would be native into the ice, but there's also Iash to swim.
Right. So it swims quickly.
Even though it swims quickly,
It can get caught on the rod, so it's fish. Call.
Exactly. Okay. So that's almost it. The last thing that we've got is Kétse Lektes Onchales, that we wanted to read it and translate. And if Sandra, do you want to participate already, or should we skip you if you just got in?
Yeah, maybe just skip me. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it that way. Okay, I was going to say that everybody can do one line. I mean, one verse, but the last is exactly the same as the first. But Valentina actually already translated the whole thing. So maybe, Valentina, if you're okay with it, we can skip you, but you can correct the translation as we go through it. Is that okay?
Sure. So I'll just open it on my computer and I will fix it.
Yeah. And then we can do Reka does the first one, Luan does the second one, and Sonia does the third one. If that works for everyone. And Valentina, let me know when you're ready. Or well, mostly let Reka know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm not sure I could translate. I kind of get the meaning, but it's okay. So Kétse Lektes Onchales, Mádes Lektes Poales. So the sun goes up and rises, and the wind arises and blows.
Yeah, and just a note about this Onchales. So onchash, to look, also means to shine. And this is like just in this phrase, Kétse Oncha is like the sun is shining. And Onchalash is just a momentary derivation of that. So rather than like Onchash would be more like watching, and Onchalash is like seeing something, looking at something once. So it's just like a momentary derivation. It shines, like maybe it's more like it's starting to shine. So the sun goes up, it starts to shine, and the wind comes up and it starts to blow. And what else is happening?
Should I continue?
Yeah, maybe if we can do like one verse a person.
Okay, now you can hear me, can't you?
Yes.
Kande tyran nosevikim koshkalish.
Yeah.
So my handkerchief, the blue trimming dries. Erta umirim, kodesh kumelem. So my life keeps passing. My mood keeps staying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So my beloved friend is gone, isn't here.
Yeah. So like last week I mentioned how this is basically Mari, I Will Survive, and has a similar energy to that song. Okay, then Luan.
Echial Dasham Kapka Onchik Lectin Kandaturan Nosovikum Rusan Itchungo. So my friend waiting leaving to the front of the gate. Don't stand waving the handkerchief with blue embroidery.
Yeah.
So then Duyen Visa Ulogan Mian Gartesh Duyen Version Jonem Yula Manen it Shono. So if you have another one, probably also I will have. Don't think that my like John is burning because of you. Yeah,
it's like if you can have another one, I can have somebody else too. Exactly. Yeah, and so this Kapka Onchik Lekten, this is this thing that I actually got that wrong, that I was reading this as a past tense form when it's a converb. And looking at the Russian translation by a Mari native speaker, it's clear that it's that. So it's like literally, oh, my friend, when you are leaving from in front of my gate, when you're going away. And this whole act of like waving handkerchiefs, if you've been to Russia, you'll have maybe experienced this. This is how goodbyes happen. Like when you're in Yoshka-Ola for 3 weeks and you leave, there will be people standing on the platform waving their handkerchiefs after you. And I guess if there's the blue embroidery must signify a special emotional connection or something like that.
And that's also
Especially-
where I got stuck, because I thought lectin refers to the door, so I thought it means the door is slamming. I didn't realize that Yoltash is the subject of lectin, so that's where I also didn't get it.
Yeah. Okay, then Sonia, the third one.
The Olmapum Shindashich Mea Viden Optashim. So you were sitting, or you sit, no, you were planting the, I suppose you were planting the apple trees, and I was watering them.
Yeah, so you planted an apple tree and I watered it.
That. Ik omajam nalam banat te seren otkert. Actually, I'm not quite sure if I got the meaning of the third verse, especially this line, like even if, or even though I get one apple.
Even if I take one apple?
You don't get angry.
Yeah, like you have no business getting angry, basically. You don't get to be angry.
Okay, yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like our mutual business, and we are both of involved. I can see a different text now.
Sorry, because I was just looking at the Russian translation once. I forgot that you're going to see the change too. Yeah, here's back to the Mari version.
The Vesidin Shogashich, the Vesidin Kayashich. I'm not sure about this Vesidin. Is it like with different one, with the next one?
With another one.
With another one.
With another person, yeah.
So you were standing with with another person, and with another person you left, or you went away, and even if I leave with a different person, you have no right to be, or you can't be angry about it.
Yeah.
So like, don't accuse me of things you were yourself doing.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that,
it's just one point. It's remarkably cheerful. Is it normal, like that? This kind of stuff, when they think about something that is probably very sad and they need to get over it, it just turns into a very cheerful melody.
Yeah. It's, I think the word for it is lyrical dissonance, when like the textual content of a song doesn't match the melody at all. But I mean, it's like also, it's like, I mean, it's on the one hand, it's kind of sad, but it's also like very like energetic, powerful, like similar energy, like I Will Survive, I would say again. It's like she's not necessarily, because I mean, she's saying she's not crying after this guy anymore. She got over him, and now he thought he can just come. I'm just assuming it's a guy, but he's coming back and thinking she's still pining after him, but she's like, hey, wait, no, I don't need you anymore, get lost. Yeah. Okay, on that note, I think I will end the recording, and those of you watching at home can proceed to chapter 24, where we will be looking at the Eastern Mari then. So see you there, and bye.